Y'all stand by. Want to get to our guests. I think you've already introduced one of them, Dr. Danielle Stagg. Dr. Stagg, welcome to the show. You were on the committee, the division chair, but you're also on the committee for the Shark Tank Ideas Pitch competition, which happened a couple of weeks ago for HCC.
Yes, Todd, that's correct. I was on the committee along with other speech faculty members. We also joined with the Center for Entrepreneurial Initiatives and the HCC Foundation. And Todd, you yourself served as a moderator and MC for that competition that we had.
That was a lot of fun. It happened about 3 weeks ago on a Saturday. And we've got the winner of the competition, Luisa Nadarajah. You are the first place winner for the Shark Tank Scholarship. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I tried with a couple of ideas that I had because I'm always, brainstorming ideas in other years. And this is the first year that I made it so far. So I'm excited. I'm excited that my idea really, really kicked off.
You had a very cool idea, and I know you're going to show it to us in a few moments, but I want to go back to Dr. Stagg. Why don't you tell me a bit about the competition, how long it's been going on? And obviously, this year you had to pivot your operations to make everything virtual.
About 2 years ago, one of our speech faculty members, Dr. Angela Anderson, she kicked off the Shark Tank competition in her classroom, and we were not aware that the Center for Entrepreneurial Initiatives was doing a similar type of pitch competition. So this year was actually the first time that we joined forces together to have our competition. And with the COVID-19, it ended up being a virtual competition, but it actually went very well. And the students did a good job presenting in that virtual environment. So we are eager to continue our partnership with the Center for Entrepreneurship and also the HCC Foundation.
Now, we know the finalists. Tell us about the process and how you pick the finalists and who judges the competition.
Okay, well, we had several different judges. The judges represented the academic program, and that was by our dean, Dr. Amy Tan, who's the Dean for English and Communications. We also had a member of the Center for Entrepreneurial Initiatives, and that was with Maya. And we also had an HCC Foundation board member kind of showing all of the partnership. And we had leaders from the business community who also participated as sharks for the event. So they were the judges. And students, what they did, they had to submit a pitch to our pitch website. And then we picked from those pitches and we selected the finalists. And students were to create a product that could promote environmental change, also have a social impact. And in these times, that's especially important. And we had some great pitches, especially one of the ones from our winning finalists.
That's right. Just to name a few of the pitches, we had one that was a musical instruments rentals. That was pitched. Also something called the Birth Box, and then Serve Us by Joe Carpenter, who made a pitch for that. But as you mentioned, the winner, we got her on the show. Luisa, you have something called the COVID collection. And why don't you show off exactly what your creation is?
Okay, so COVID collection, for those of you that don't know, I'm a fashion design student, and I created a collection that could protect people from COVID, but could also have an environmental impact. So I'm just not only selling masks, because they're not just masks, they're way more than that. So you put it on as a mask. I don't know if you can hear me. Put it on as a mask, right? It looks really simple. Well, not simple, but simple as a mask. It turns into a headband, like so. The fabric is from Peru, so it's also really interesting fabric. It's really, this one is from Mexico.
This mask turns into
and it turns into a hat decoration. See, this is the same mask in a different color for a hat decoration. So it turns into I've had a client that put it in her eye. So what is it called? An eye cover.
Yeah, for when you're sleeping, right?
Right. So you could do really several things with it because it's got an elastic in the back, and it's also got a pocket if you want extra secure, extra COVID protection.
Right.
You put tissue inside, so it's lined. It's also very visible to see the front and the back. Sometimes when you're, buying regular masks that are only one color, sometimes they're like, oh, which was the front, which was that? You can really tell which one's the front and which one's the back in mine. And that's pretty much the idea. I've also had other few, I forgot to bring them today, but other few items that we're testing that are for the face shields that turn into something else as well. And those are in the testing mode.
Well, I see Brittany looking in, so I want to bring her into the conversation. Brittany, you look like this would be something that you would pique your interest.
Oh, absolutely, Todd. I mean, as you know, I've shared it a few weeks back when we first started this whole COVID thing that my mom, who's a seamstress, was making a lot of masks for family and whatnot. And I think it's really cool that you, Luisa, have really taken it a step farther to make it not only usable but fashionable in the end. And I'm loving the colors. I'm loving the patterns. Especially love, the Mexican fabric because, hey, and no, it looks great. And I think there's definitely a multi-use for these masks, once, knock on wood, COVID is all said and done.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Dr. Stagg, I want to ask you, obviously, the timeliness of this invention and this creation was perfect for when Luisa presented it for the Shark Pitch competition.
It certainly was. Not only did she come up with a fashionable statement, but also one that makes an environmental and social impact. So now, instead of just discarding your mask, you can turn it into a hat sombrero or even a eyewear. So I'm eager to purchase my own so that I can be wearing them post COVID-19.
We mentioned this at the top of the show when we were talking to you, but really this Shark Tank pitch competition really is a true collaboration, bringing together many departments across the college.
It sure is. And that's why we're so happy to have found Ravi and the Center for Entrepreneurial Initiatives, because we didn't know that they were doing something that was so similar. And we're looking forward to it in the next competition. Now, we don't know what's going to happen. So we don't know if it's going to be a virtual competition or if it'll be a face-to-face competition. But either way, we know that our HCC students are going to come up with some fantastic ideas and some wonderful pitches. And we're looking forward to that.
Well, it certainly worked out very well. You had to place it online at because of the COVID situation, but it seemed to play out well. Luisa, what did you think of the competition? What did you learn and what did you take away from it?
So like I said, I've been in the competition before with some ideas that didn't end up being finalists. So now that I became a finalist and then a winner, obviously, I think it was a great competition, right? But I also think that it's really nice to hear other ideas that are out there. And I think there's even a network of us right now, the COVID, ideas pitch competition finalists, where we're talking about our ideas and giving each other opinion. So there's like a community that goes beyond just the competition that you guys provide, where we, work on each other's, just talk on each other's idea and give each other's feedback. So that's nice. There's a community that HCC provides for us to hear us out, to, what do you call it? Reward us for what we work on, for what we believe, give us the exposure like I am right now with you, because you could have said, okay, you're the winner, bye. But no, you still kept on the momentum for me to share my idea, which is idea, meaning this is my business. I'm a fashion designer. I sell these. So this is my small business. So you're also promoting my business besides just my idea. I just think that all of that is amazing for you guys to continue on the momentum. I thank you for that, and I acknowledge you for that.
Dr. Stagg, I want to talk briefly about some of the competitors in this event that were there. I noticed there's a few names of some things here. The birth box, that was certainly a unique creation. That was a pitch.
Correct. That was by a student by the name of Kanisha Friend. And she came up with the idea, you know how they have these fashion boxes and the makeup boxes that you can have sent to your home? Well, she came up with the idea that if you know an expecting mother or a family, a friend, and they just gave birth, oftentimes they can't get out of the house, especially in the COVID-19 era. So you could send them a birth box, and that birth box has essential items that a woman who just gave birth would need. So that was very interesting. It would make a societal impact, and that was one of the great pitches. We also had another student who came up with the idea of service, who is going to be on in a later show, and that was kind of joining forces to where we have a network of different service providers, and it can be an online application, and you're able to connect with people in your neighborhood who could serve you, because that's what it's all about, is to helping other people and serving each other so that we can try to make this world a better place.
There was also one that really piqued my interest because we've got a aging population that's looking towards retirement. But one of our own students, Mac Woods, promoted something called the Petite Estates. Tell us a little bit about that, because that was kind of a cool idea too.
It sure was a cool idea. I had never thought about the tiny houses, but what Mag did was that she came up with tiny houses, especially for people who are retiring. And the tiny house is just kind of like a downscale or a downsized house of the house that you're living in. Because if you think about it, if you're a family of 5 and then your children go off to college and it's just you and your significant other living in the home, do you still need that big old house? So Matt came up with the idea of a petite estate to where it was economically friendly. It also was a lower cost than a house that you would typically pay for, but it was still an estate. So it still had that luxury feel. And that was another awesome idea of one of our HCC students.
And you may recognize Mac Wood. She's in our promotional campaign, and she was featured in TV commercials as well. So when you see her, you may recognize her. We're going to put links to the pitch competition in the post for this show, but you can also visit hccs.edu/pitch. Back to you, Luisa. Are you selling these, your creation on your website? How have sales been?
Great. So as soon as I started selling them, people just started ordering. There were days where I did not sleep the entire night because people wanted them now. And I know that, you know, if people want them now, then you have to provide it now. You got to catch things when the iron is hot. So for days, you know, I was very tired sewing. And now that it's gotten a little bit slower, you know, I can breathe a little bit. Sales are still good. And I say I think I sold over 200 masks in total. Yeah. And the price is not cheap because I make them. And I just can't charge, you know, like a cheap lower China labor. Sure. You know, we can't do that. And then
so each one is handmade from what you're saying, right?
Yeah. The fabric is from Peru. That's number 2, meaning I don't have access to this fabric. Peru doesn't allow anybody to visit them. So once the fabric is sold out, it's sold out. And it's such unique fabric that you just can't charge a cheap price for this. This is not a cheap item. Because normally, you know,
experience. I wanted to ask you real quickly, because you had some experience working with HCC's Fashion Fusion Runway projects. Tell us about that and the Museum of Fine Arts Houston.
Okay, so as soon as I started, I quit my job in 2015 and I started studying fashion design at HCC. I'm so glad I picked HCC, by the way. As soon as I took my first sewing class, which is called Ready to Wear 1. That was my first class and my first sewing class ever. I jumped into signing up for a Museum of Fine Arts fashion show competition. And I knew I was setting up myself for failure because all these wonderful students that knew way more than I did, imagine they would have, you know, beat me, obviously. So what I did in that case is I put my creative cap and I said, if I'm not going to be able to win, but I still want to apply and try, I have to do something that nobody else would do. Hence, I have to try with materials that nobody else would try. So everybody would be working with fabric because you're in fashion, you work with fabric. So that's exactly what I didn't do. I went to the junkyard in the middle of the hot summer, sweaty. All the mechanics in the junkyard were looking at me like, what's this girl doing looking for parts? And I grabbed as much trash as I could. And for 3 months, I worked nonstop. Literally, it was my full time. I think I worked 60 hours a week, almost every for 3 months, every week. And I made 3 outfits. 2 of them made it to the finals. And
Wow.
those 2 won first prize and audience choice.
Well, Luisa, we certainly are proud to have you as an HCC student. Keep up the great work. Good luck with your COVID line on your website. We'll place a link to your website in the post for this show as well. Dr. Stagg, thank you for joining us and bringing us up to date with the Shark Tank pitch competition. We appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing the next one.
Yes, thank you. Please make sure that you do visit the pitch website. Be on the lookout for the spring 2021 competition, and we will have scholarships for that tournament as well.
All right. Thank you both for being here today, and we appreciate it. Good luck again, Luisa.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing us to show our work.
Absolutely. And you'll see more of the finalists from the past ideas competition. We'll have them on the show as well, as we mentioned. So look for that in the near future.